Hello and welcome to the latest edition of SolarPV TV's Global Weekly News, powered by PV Magazine and Solar United. Coming up in this week's edition, SolarPV TV pays our respect to Tyson Hall. As our top story, residential and commercial solar funds see record investments during the first quarter of 2015. In market and policy updates, global PV demand to rise to 51 gigawatts. India's Telangana reveals further details of its 2-gigawatt auction. Global investments in solar grew 7% in Q1 2015. Bids have been submitted for Germany's first auction for large-scale solar. And solar and wind could save the United Arab Emirates $1.9 billion annually. Business headlines. Abdul Latif Jameel Energy acquires FRV. Shanfeng has formed a partnership with China's AVIC. Insolvency proceedings for LDK Solar have been terminated. Skatex Solar will build 258 megawatts of solar PV in South Africa. Trina Solar will supply PV for Japan's largest solar PV project. Sino-American Solar increases sales 7% in Q1 2015. ET Solar will build a 50-megawatt solar PV project in Israel. And Midsummer receives an order for 6 deposition tools. Technology news. SolarTech sets a new power output record for multicrystalline silicon PERC PV modules. Meyer Burger will supply tools to France's CEA. Solar is reducing peak demand in the UK, and Sonnen Battery doubles the lifespan of its lithium-ion batteries. Special announcement. Before we begin this week's news, we would like to pay our respect to Tyson Hall of Shoals Technologies, who passed away unexpectedly this weekend. Tyson was a personal friend of ours and was known in the solar industry for his big heart, warmth, and enthusiasm. He will be missed by many. Top story. Record fundraising by residential and commercial solar funds spurred an increase in corporate solar funding in the first quarter of 2015, according to Mercom Capital. The company's latest report records $1.9 billion raised by residential and commercial funds, driven by the expiration of the US ITC. However, VC funding fell to only $189 million, with most of this funding going to downstream companies. SolarPV TV spoke with Mercom Capital's Raj Prabhu about the growing interest in residential and commercial solar funds.
In our announcement, we said this is the largest quarter in terms of fundraising by residential and commercial solar funds. This is, when we look at numbers from 2009 onwards, this has been the biggest quarter. A lot of it is driven by investment tax credit. And a lot of the funds that are investing into these funds are tax equities funds, and we see that I think this trend is going to continue. Now that we have the expiration date, ITC expiration date drawing closer at the end of 2016, these funds might want to put their invest in these commercial residential solar funds and get those, installations done and take advantage of this tax credit.
In market and policy updates. TrendForce's Energy Trend division is predicting that global solar PV demand will rise to 51 gigawatts this year, led by Asia. This is substantially less optimistic than IHS's forecast of 57 gigawatts made last week, but would still represent substantial growth from 2014 levels. Energy Trend predicts that China alone will install 18 gigawatts of solar PV. The newly created Indian state of Telangana has revealed further details of its plans to award 2 gigawatts of solar PV through a reverse bidding process. Prices in the auction will be capped at 10 US cents per kilowatt hour for projects up to 450 megawatts in size. The new bidding process follows an oversubscribed solicitation for 500 megawatts of solar PV last year. Bloomberg New Energy Finance, or BNEF, reports that global investments in solar grew 7% year over year to $32 billion in the first quarter of 2014. This is despite a fall in overall clean energy spending and grows solar's share to over 60% of renewable energy investment. BNEF also notes that South Africa was particularly strong for solar PV and CSP investments due to the latest round of the nation's solicitation program. On April 15th, developers submitted bids in Germany's first competitive solicitation for large-scale solar PV projects. This 150 megawatt bidding round is the first of 3 scheduled for 2015, with more to come in 2016 and 2017 to total 1.2 gigawatts. The European Photovoltaic Industry Association, or EPA, and trade group BSW Solar criticized the auctions when announced, with EPA noting that it does not make sense to limit deployment when costs are falling. Solar and wind may be the cheapest forms of new generation for the United Arab Emirates, or UAE, according to a new report by the International Renewable Energy Agency, Masdar, and the UAE government. The report finds that the nation could achieve $1.9 billion in annual savings by 2030 if it can reach 25% renewable energy in its electricity mix. Business headlines. Dubai and Saudi Arabia-based Abdul Latif Jameel Energy has acquired developer Fotovatio Renewable Ventures. The acquisition includes 370 megawatts of solar projects under construction and a total pipeline of 3.8 gigawatts of projects in the Middle East, North Africa, Australia, and Latin America. Shanfeng International Clean Energy has formed a joint venture with the Aviation Industry Corporation of China, a state-owned conglomerate of over 200 companies. PV Magazine speculates that this will support Chen Qingming's plans to transform cities across Asia using clean energy. A court in the Cayman Islands has terminated insolvency proceedings for LDK Solar following the company's restructuring of $700 million in offshore debt. LDK has also closed proceedings for its U.S. subsidiaries, but the company is estimated to hold an additional $2 billion in debt to Chinese banks. Skatex Solar has announced that it will build 3 solar PV projects totaling 258 megawatts in South Africa. These are the first projects confirmed for round 4 of the nation's renewable energy procurement program, following delays which state utility Eskom has blamed on grid connection restraints. Trina Solar has secured an order for 116 megawatts worth of solar PV modules to supply Japan's largest solar PV project. The 231 megawatt project will be located on a salt field in southern Japan and is expected to be completed in 2019. Taiwanese wafer maker Sino-American Silicon has reported sales of $217 million in the first quarter of 2015. This represents a 7% growth over the first quarter of 2014. China's ET Solar has been selected to provide turnkey engineering, procurement, and construction services for a 50-megawatt solar PV project in Israel, along with 2 partner companies. ET expects to complete the project by the end of the year. Sweden's Midsummer has received a multi-million euro order for its duo copper indium gallium desalinide or SIGS deposition tool from an unnamed customer. Midsummer will deliver the tool in October, and this order follows on Singulus reporting a large order for SIGS tools in February. Technology news. Taiwan's SolarTech Energy has set a new power record for a multicrystalline silicon solar PV module using passivated emitter rear contact or PERC technology. The 286-watt module features a 4-busbar design and DuPont metallization pastes with 19.6% efficient PV cells. Meyer Burger will supply its heterojunction cell coating tools and smart wire cell interconnection system to French Research Center CEA. Through a strategic partnership, the company will also supply its high-capacity cell testing equipment and bifacial encapsulation technology and equipment. Peak power demand in the UK will fall this summer due to the output of distributed solar PV, according to the nation's grid operator. National Grid predicts peak demand of only 37.5 gigawatts, a fall of 900 megawatts from the summer of 2014. Germany's Sonnenbatterie has doubled the output of its batteries used for residential energy storage. The company's Eco4 lithium-ion battery has a lifetime of 10,000 charge cycles as opposed to the previous model with a lifetime of only 5,000. The battery offers a usable capacity of 4 kilowatt hours. Thank you for joining us. We look forward to meeting you next week.